Hello again, and welcome to the latest edition of the Roy Williams Show. My name is Jones Angel. I'll be hosting you through the next hour alongside the Hall of Fame head coach of the Tar Heels, Roy Williams. We're going to be talking Carolina basketball, look back at what has been a busy week for Carolina, talk 900 wins for Coach. I know he doesn't want to do that, but we're going to do it anyway. And, of course, look ahead to the season finale, Carolina hosting Duke on Saturday in the Smith Center. Plus, you'll hear some from former Tar Heel Danny Green. Danny now with the Philadelphia 76ers. Adam Lucas and I had a chance to talk to Danny here recently and think you'll enjoy that. But, Coach, first of all, good to see you again. And has been a busy week, actually 3 games since we last met. We'll focus on the last 2 mostly here at the beginning of the show. But an up-and-down week in what has been a bit of an up-and-down season for Carolina. Tar Heels picked up probably their best win of the season on Saturday at home against Florida State, but also suffered 2 frustrating defeats to Marquette in Chapel Hill and also Syracuse on the road. Busy week, Coach, for your team, for sure.
Well, it was a busy week. You play Wednesday, Saturday, Monday. There's a lot of things going on, and yeah, perhaps it took some toll on our guys. I don't know. We play so many guys, nobody's got to do, the 38, 39 minutes a game kind of thing, but a great win at home, Florida State. So pleased that some of our fans, particularly some of our students, were able to come in and see the game, and it was a wonderful setting. And I've never heard 3,000 people sound as good as they did on Saturday against Florida State. And then go play at Syracuse, and they have 0 people there at Syracuse. And Syracuse outplayed us, and yet just to play here and to play there, we had a chance to win the game at the end, but didn't work out.
Coach, the win over Florida State was number 900 in your career, just the 4th Division I men's head coach to reach that number. Mike Krzyzewski, Jim Boeheim, Bob Knight, the other 3. I know you've never been one to focus on numbers or milestones, but certainly one to be proud of, I would think.
Well, I would think so. It's something I'll think about a little later. I was just so just desperately so much wanted number 15 for that team, for our team right now. And it's a neat deal, I'm sure, and I'll think about it more later on. But right now, I'm trying to figure out how to get to number 16.
Carolina, the latest action was just last night in Syracuse, 72-70 Orange victory, the final. And Coach felt like turnovers and the inability to get consistent offense outside of the painted area were the 2 areas that hurt your team in this game.
Well, those 2, but also the reason we had to do so much outside is because we didn't do anything inside. We got some baskets early, and then we stopped moving. Our big guys did not a very good job. I could say terrible job of moving and demanding the ball, and our perimeter players didn't get it in there. And so now you're trying to beat Syracuse's zone from the outside, which we have not shown a good consistency of shooting the ball from the outside. And they got to us and showed their length, blocked a couple of them, and those kind of things made today a miserable day for Kerwin Walton, for example, but got out on Caleb, got a little bit of a finger on one of his last shots. That would, needless to say, would have been a huge 3 for us if we'd have gotten that one to go in. But turnovers were the biggest thing, and then the second biggest thing, not just the fact that we didn't beat them from outside, but we did such a poor job of getting it inside by our perimeter people and our post guys not working hard enough.
Carolina's post players had 18 shot attempts in the first half, just 9 in the second half against Syracuse on Monday night. Coach, that's in the last 3 games, 60 turnovers for your team, including 20 against Syracuse. The previous 10 games, Carolina had a positive assist-turnover ratio in 9 of those 10. This last week seems like those turnover problems have elevated again.
Well, they have, and I can't understand it because nobody emphasizes it more. But the bottom line, that's what it is, and we just got to correct it before the next game.
Coach, one individual, and don't know if you feel this way, but at least statistically, Armando Bacot had a nice bounce back after he'd been in a bit of a funk here recently, but 18 points and 15 rebounds, season high for him against Syracuse.
Yeah, he did not do the things that he wanted to do and I wanted to do in the previous couple of games for sure. Stays in a little bit of foul trouble, some silly fouls, some illegal screens, and I'll go back to Notre Dame last year. He sets an illegal screen. I said, that's the one that should teach you for the rest of your life because it cost us a game. And now we still do that, and that's one of his turnovers. Offensive fouls, a turnover, and those kind of things. But, no, he was all over the backboard for us against Syracuse, and we needed more effort and more movement from him, but even more so from the other guys.
Those 15 rebounds, I think I mentioned a season high for Armando. That was his 5th double-double of the season to this point. We're going to take a break, come back. We'll look back at some of the matchup with Florida State on Saturday. Plus, later in the show, we're going to preview the Senior Day matchup with Duke, answer some of your questions for the head coach of the Tar Heels, and more. It's the Roy Williams Show from Learfield, IMG College. The Tar Heels hosted Florida State on Saturday, and, Coach, you mentioned this a little earlier. The official attendance was 3,263, and those 3,200 plus felt like it made a difference. And just fun to have a crowd in a more normal game-like atmosphere for what was a big matchup with the Seminoles.
Well, it was a huge matchup for us. We needed the win. We got the win, but those fans were incredible, and it was a great experience for our guys to get a little sampling of what the Smith Center can be like. And again, guys, we got 7 freshmen. 6 of them have never played with people in the stands there. And so it was something that was really good for us, and I think the crowd helped us.
Could you feel that energy on the sideline?
Yeah, I could. And the pregame and during the play, and when they start chanting Walker Kessler's name, they start doing some things for us. I mean, there's no question the crowd was a big help for us.
Coach, you were down 16 late in the first half and then 12 at halftime. Felt important, though. You came out of the locker room and immediately got right back into the game. That felt important in this comeback.
Well, it was, and, it's one of those things you do as a coach. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I told them we get the ball first and let's do a great job getting the shot we want. We score. Let's go down and get one stop, come back and get the ball and then score again and go down and get one more stop. And then if we do that, guys, we're talking about 2 stops. 2 great possessions offensively and 2 stops on the defensive. We'll be right back in the ball game, and they will feel the heat. And I think that's what happened.
Free throws, big story in this game, Coach. Carolina missed its first 2 and then made 27 of 28 after that, including some big ones down the stretch.
Well, it really was huge, and we'd like to have some of those free throws against Syracuse because they would have helped us to, needless to say, it ends up being a 2-point game, but we missed some key free throws down the stretch in that game. But, no, going to the line and knocking the free throws in, I thought really was the difference in the game, and I was so proud of those guys because there's a little heat on you.
Sure.
And you step up there, and I think we made 14 out of 14 in the second half.
Kerwin Walton had some big ones in the last couple of minutes. Armando Baycott had a big pair for the Tar Heels. Caleb Love as well. So a lot of different guys hitting some big free throws late in that game. But Coach Walker Kessler, probably the big individual story in the game. 20 points, 8 rebounds, 4 blocks, and, boy, made an impact, it felt like, on both sides of things.
Sometimes with 2 big guys, it's been difficult to get good matchups because so many teams go to one big guy, and so that 4-man is a 6'5" guy running right there on the court, and that makes it difficult. But what we always try to do is make our size a more dominating factor and make them adjust to us. We haven't always been able to do that this year. In the Florida State game, they have a couple of big guys, and they very seldom play them together, but at least it's a little bit easier for us to match up with them. And we played better, so they had a problem matching up with us. It wasn't just having a problem of chasing the 6'6" guy around the 3-point line, and they had a difficult time. But Walker Kessler was really, really good in the first half. I started him in the second half because his play in the first half deserved that other chance, and then he was even better in the second half, and he was huge. Well, he was not huge. He was the reason. If we don't have him, we don't win the game.
He seems to do 2 things, Coach, that you would like from a big guy. He seems to run the floor pretty effectively, and then we've talked about his length. It just changes things defensively.
Yeah, it really does, and he was a little frustrated last night in Syracuse game because he didn't have that effect on their drives to the basket last night. But in the Florida State game, he had as good a game as any individual we've had all year long. And if you really sit there and think about it, I can't think of anyone else that's played a better game than Walker Kessler did against Florida State. Walker
was honored as the co-ACC Freshman of the Week. That gives Carolina now 5 different individuals that have been named ACC Freshman of the Week. Day'Ron Sharp has been honored. Caleb Love has been honored twice. R.J. Davis has been honored, as has Kerwin Walton. And that is the first time in ACC history that one school has had 5 different players named Freshman of the Week throughout the season. So congratulations to Walker and all those guys as they continue to try to mature and grow through their freshman year here in Chapel Hill.
Yeah, and we need them to mature a little quicker because it's coming down to the really difficult time of the year. But, no, I'm very, very pleased with our freshmen. I'm not satisfied with them, but I'm very pleased with what they've done, and that's a unique honor.
And again, that was win number 900 for Coach. He achieved that win total in 1,161 games and 33 seasons, making him the fastest, both game-wise and season-wise, to hit that number. We're going to hit a commercial break, come back, and we're going to start answering some of your questions for the head coach of the Tar Heels. That's after this on The Roy Williams Show from Learfield, IMG College. Thanks so much for being with us here on the show. And just a quick schedule note, we only have one more show scheduled with Coach. That is next week prior to the ACC tournament. We'll talk, maybe do one at the end of the year once things have all wrapped up for Carolina. But right now, only one more scheduled. That is next week with Coach, and we appreciate you joining us. It's been a unique season, of course. We'd much rather be there in person with you at Top of the Hill, but we're doing our best to bring you, Coach, this year in what has been a unique season in so many different ways. And you can always be a part of the show, sending us questions. AskTheHeels@gmail.com. AskTheHeels@gmail.com. Or send me a tweet at JonesAngel. Angel has 2 L's at the end. And here on the show, our first 3 questions are our top 3 questions, presented by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, reminding you to practice your 3 W's. That's wear, weight, and wash, and resolve to keep North Carolina healthy. Coach, let's get started. This one comes from Jonathan Edmonds, and referencing a play in the Syracuse game, wanted to know if you have ever seen a goaltend on a 3-point shot before. Carolina ended up being the recipient of that. Andrew Platek took a corner 3 that was blocked on the way down, and Carolina was given credit for the basket.
Well, I have seen it before, yes, and I almost saw it one time, which I was about to have a heart attack. But last night, to me, it was clear that the ball was going to be short, but it was going to hit the rim, and you never know what happens after that. Does it hit the rim and go straight up in the air? So the referees have to decide, does it have a chance? And if it hits the rim, it has a chance. And so I thought they went and looked at it on the monitor, and they felt good about it. But, no, I remember we're playing, I think I'll get this right, Washington in the NCAAs in 2012. And a guy shot one from the corner, and John Henson went up and got it and just sort of palmed it and brought it down. But it was falling short. It had no chance to go in. But I said, John, we have a 3-point lead. Why would you do that? And he said, well, Coach, he had both feet on the line, and I knew that when he shot it. But I didn't know that. I was 94 feet away. But I was disturbed at John for blocking the shot because they could have called goaltending, but it was clearly it was going to miss, and they did not do it.
Coach, this one actually comes from Jonathan Edmonds as well. So we're taking 2 questions that Jonathan has sent in, and was talking about some of your big guys seem to get themselves, in Jonathan's opinion, in some tough positions on offense between the baseline and the back of the backboard. Then they have to jump back through some defenders to try and get a shot. Do you think it's just court awareness, or do they think they can get to the basket quicker, and have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah, I've noticed it. My God, this again, think, Jones, who you're talking to. If they see something, I've seen it a million times. But, yeah, Dayron's probably more than anybody else, but he also has enough power that he gets through that all the time. If you look at the Florida State game, we go into him twice in a row, and it's the same thing. He's too low, but he's powerful enough to go up. I don't like it. I like it to be on the block or just barely inside the block. But, again, it's Walker Kessler, Dayron, both freshmen, Armando, a sophomore. Garrison's the only one that hasn't gotten caught in there as much as the others, but he's a more experienced guy.
Coach, last one of our 3 questions presented by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina. This one comes from Kevin Baggs, and we've talked a lot about home versus away this year, and Kevin wanted to know if you have seen a difference in focus or energy level in home games versus away games. Carolina 9-1 at home, 3-7 in true road games, 6-8 if you throw in the neutral games in there.
No, it's not an energy level. I mean, come on. If you go practice 80 times, you're going to know that backboard better. You're going to know the background better. You're going to feel more comfortable shooting on that floor with what the ball bounces like. I mean, it's like playing golf. It doesn't make any difference what kind of enthusiasm you have. You play one course 10 times and another one. That course you play 10 times, you're going to know more about the course. And even without the fans, I said it, and I've said it on this show early in the year. I mean, at one point, the teams in the ACC were winning a higher percentage of home games than they had ever won. And when that's without fans, but it's just you get to sleep in your own bed, you get to meals that you're normally eating. I mean, we had meals this weekend, and they were late a couple of times, and those people treat us well. But I mean, it's just everything is unusual on the road, and everything is pretty much organized and smooth at home. And it's we have people that try their best and do a great job on the road, but you're not sleeping in your bed, your pillow, your room temperature. I mean, one of the coaches, the room was so hot that he couldn't believe it. I put mine on 78, and I usually sleep on 69. It was so daggum cold. I put my shoes on to go to the bathroom. Come on now. You're in your own bed in your own home, and to get up and play a game, or you go somewhere else where the snow's blowing sideways and the building's shaking because of the wind. It doesn't have anything to do with preparation. You're going to do better at home because of familiarity.
You mentioned shooting backgrounds. What the dome? Everybody talked about shooting in domes. Was it even more challenging with nobody there, in your opinion?
That would be an excuse, so I'm not going to use that. But it is different shooting in there. I mean, you look at the record, Syracuse is going to shoot better at home than they do on the road.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
It's a pretty easy deal.
All right, we're going to take a break, come back, get to a few more questions for Coach. Plus, we're going to talk about the Tar Heel seniors. Senior Day is coming up on Saturday against Duke. That and more when we return to the Roy Williams Show from Learfield, IMG College. Back here on the show, my name's Jones Angel, along with the head coach of the Tar Heels, Roy Williams. And, Coach, you didn't hear this part, but before you and I started talking again in this segment, went through some of the success that the Carolina spring sports are having right now, and that includes 4 teams ranked number 1 in the nation, both men's and women's lacrosse, both men's tennis and women's tennis. And some people might know this, some people might not. You played such a big role in the seniors who had their seasons cut short a season ago due to COVID, being able to come back, stay on scholarship, and play. Why was that important to you to help those young men and women?
Well, last year things were so hectic. I mean, we're ACC tournament, and the next day we're sending our kids home. Yeah. And I'm not saying we're sending them home for a break. We're sending them home for the rest of the semester. And I was thinking, oh, my gosh, our women's tennis team at that time was ranked number 1 in the country, and they had just destroyed everybody. And I was thinking, what if I were a senior and my season was cut short and somebody said, you're done? And I knew that those girls had really prepared to try to win the NCAA championship, which is the outdoor tournament, right. What is considered the NCAAs. And then I started thinking about women's lacrosse at that time was ranked number 1. Men's lacrosse was in the top 10. Our men's tennis was in the top 10. And it just hit me that I would be dying. And I went home and talked to Wanda about it and told her I just could not imagine what my thought process would be. I would be crushed, and I mean crushed. And she said, you want to help them out? And I said, yeah, let's do that. And she said, how much would it be? And I'd already done the research a little bit. And so I told her, but we decided to do it, and it's something that I've tried to do a few things over the years at Kansas and at North Carolina that make you feel good, but I'll say that probably made me feel better than anything we've ever done, and I wanted to keep it quiet. And then all of a sudden it got out that coaches weren't doing anything, and they listed me over there that I hadn't done anything, and everybody got mad about it, and Kirsch said, we got to let everybody know now, kind of thing. So, but that's the reason it got out. But just trying to help out those seniors, and it was strictly how crushed I would have been, and just I don't know how I would have handled. I know I would not have handled it well. So Wanda and I were really happy to be able to do it.
Incredibly generous, and those teams are really performing well. Like I said, 4 number 1 ranked teams. Field hockey will be ranked number 1 when it starts playing again here soon. Baseball is ranked after a great weekend. So, gosh, so many teams having a lot of success around Chapel Hill right now. Coach, Senior Day is coming up on Saturday. Of course, a unique season with seniors and trying to decide what they want to do in the future. But you have 4 seniors on your team right now. Just wanted to mention them quickly. You have 2 non-scholarship seniors in Walker Miller and KJ Smith, of course, both who have family ties to Carolina.
They're Carolina people. KJ's dad, Kenny, was a great player for us. Walker's older brother, Wes, helped us win a national championship. Walker was going to go to the Ivy League and then decided, he'd like to play basketball, and I loved it. KJ had been at University of Pacific and talked to his dad, and he said he just wanted to have a good basketball experience. Both of them have been great for us, and they are Tar Heel families, and they are Tar Heels forever.
Andrew Platek, coach, also a senior, will be playing for the last time in the Smith Center.
Yes, Andrew, from the New England area, from New York, all the time he's talking about the Patriots more than he talks about the Jets and those kind of things. But a guy that I just saw play in the Peach Jam and thought he played so hard and made a bunch of shots the first 2 games I saw him play, and he's been beaten up quite a bit this year, but a kid that I've really, really loved.
And Coach Garrison Brooks, who has had such an impact on your program over the last several seasons.
Yeah, last year, we really needed somebody to be able to score inside on a consistent basis, and Garrison was phenomenal for us. Hasn't had the ball go in the basket for him as much this year, and I feel badly for that part, but the kind of kid that I'm coaching for, because I just love dealing with him, and I could coach Garrison Brooks for the rest of my life.
That matchup with Duke is 6 o'clock on Saturday. We'll talk about the Blue Devils in just a moment. But, Coach, let's sneak in 1 or 2 more questions here before we go to break. This one comes from David Phillips, and this is an interesting question, Coach. Wants to know if you have any feel for how the selection committee, NCAA tournament, may handle all the uneven schedules this year, and how you think they may try to handle all of that.
Well, it's going to be interesting, because the bottom 3 or 4 teams in our league, we didn't get to play nearly as much as some of the other teams in our league, and that's not picking on anybody. It's just, Miami's just been decimated by injuries. BC's just been decimated by the virus. Those 2 teams particularly, and then Steve coming up here from East Tennessee State, Wake Forest. He put together a better team over the summer than I've ever seen, but yet he didn't have anything to start with because so many guys left.
Yep.
And but some teams have been able to play those teams a lot more than others, and that is. But there's always going to be inequality with the unbalanced schedule. The problem I have this year is we lost so many home games, and some other teams were able to play their full selection of home games, and we played 9 out of our 10, but we also only played 7 conference home games, I think it is.
Carolina, in the 3 teams that Coach just mentioned, only played those 3 teams 2 total times in the regular season this year. Coach, one more before we take a break here. Jeremy May wants to know, biggest difference in your mind between Kansas and North Carolina, or coaching at Kansas and North Carolina?
Oh, my gosh, there's a million differences, and there's almost none. And I know that sounds ridiculous. The Smith Center the other day, with 3,200 people, that's what we'd like to have it when there were 21,000 there. They were so active and everything. Allen Fieldhouse, I've always said, is just a phenomenal place to play. Whether it's a 12-year-old, a 19-year-old, or a 65 or a 75-year-old, they go in there and they lose their mind at Allen Fieldhouse. It's just the greatest place greatest home court advantage you can possibly ever imagine. Both places, tremendous history, tremendous interest. I like the weather here a heck of a lot better. The weather in Kansas, that wind blowing sideways, got me quite a few times. But the passion that the Kansas people had for basketball is something that I really, really loved and appreciated. And they used to say, hey, Coach, going back to Dodge City, it's only 5 hours tonight. And he'd driven 5 hours there to see a game, 5 hours back. We don't have that kind of fanaticism here. We have, that 7 o'clock game's too early, 9 o'clock game's too late. But we still have that same kind of passion for college basketball in the Smith Center. And you know what it is, Jones? I loved Kansas, absolutely loved it. But North Carolina's home. And that's it's almost emotional to talk about how fortunate I feel to be the coach at North Carolina.
Coach, before we sneak in a break, one of those guys who has made this such a great journey for you during your time here is Danny Green, part of the 2009 National Championship. Adam and I had a chance to talk to him. Folks will hear a little bit of that conversation coming up. And what a terrific player in Chapel Hill, and now a 3-time world champion in the NBA.
Danny's a sweetheart of a kid, and just love him to death. Helped us win a national championship, but is one of those guys that just kept plugging along, and just has had a great, great, great career.
So you'll hear some of that interview with Danny when we return. We will have Coach for one more segment after this break. We'll break down the upcoming matchup with Duke. That's when we return on the Roy Williams Show from Learfield, IMG College. Carolina's regular season finale comes Saturday at 6 o'clock. Tar Heels hosting Duke in the Smith Center. Coach, first meeting was tight. Carolina earned that 91-87 victory over the Blue Devils in Durham. Certainly no reason to believe that this game is going to be any different.
No, I'm always guessing that North Carolina Duke, regardless of where it is a game that goes down to the wire. I would take one thing right now and run as fast as I could. 10 out of 15 from three-point line. We would like to have that kind of shooting percentage on Saturday as well. They've righted the ship. After our game, they lost to Notre Dame, and then they've won 5 of their last 6 or something like that. And it's a big-time talented team, and we know we've got to play great.
Duke does still play Georgia Tech tonight at 8 o'clock. But, Coach, in the 6 games since you guys played Duke, Matt Hurt did not have a great game against the Tar Heels, but, boy, he has been good since. He's averaging better than 22 points per game.
Well, we were fortunate. We wanted to get Matthew in foul trouble, and we did. That was a huge plus for us, and we'll try to see if we can do that again and try to make sure that he doesn't get 37 against us.
That game, again, is 6 o'clock in the Smith Center. We'll be on the air radio-wise for that one at 5 p.m. Coach, as always, great to see you. Thank you for your time, and look forward to talking with you next week.
All right, Jones, thank you very much.